people are shouting, crying, begging for help, and yet you stand silent while this country is torn apart. What good is a crown if it doesn't defend the nation? What good is a king if he will not stand with his people? This land is not theirs to destroy. It belongs to the people, the workers, the mothers, the fathers, the veterans, the builders, the farmers. We carried this island through wars, through hardship, through centuries of struggle, and we will not watch it be handed away by weak men in suits. Your duty is not to them, Charles. It is to us, to Britain, to the very soul of this nation. If you will not rise, if you will not speak, then you will show the people that the crown has become nothing but decoration. So hear us now. Your people demand action. We demand a king who protects his country. Britain is calling, Charles. Answer, or history will remember your silence.
Hello everyone and welcome back to Unite the Kingdom to Restore Britain. This is episode 3. If you're new here, my name is Jay and many people know me also as Jay the Soul Coach. I am just a normal working class East London lad who cares deeply about this wonderful country, its culture and the values that shaped it. In the last episode we asked an important question, which is what makes Britain Britain. We talked about culture, history, values, and the traditions that helped shape this nation over centuries. But today I want to go one step deeper, because when we talk about Britain's identity, we also have to ask, how did Britain become the kind of country it is today? Because the freedoms we enjoy now, freedom of speech, democratic government, equality before the law, didn't just appear overnight. They were built slowly over generations. Sometimes through conflict, sometimes through reform, but always through the gradual development of institutions that tried to balance power. That's one of the most important lessons in British history: balance. Balance between the crown and balance between parliament, balance between authority and liberty, and balance between tradition and progress. And understanding that balance helps us understand why the British system has been so influential around the world. Now, the reason I paused when I said the crown the first time is, so I'm not personally someone who's massively been interested in the monarchy, in the royals. The thing is though, with everything that's going on in our country at the moment, wonderful, Great Britain, United Kingdom, England, Scotland, Wales, Ireland, Northern Ireland, to see the head of our monarchy, who also is head of the church, wearing Islamic attire and reciting verses and prayer from the Quran, with the current climate of his kingdom, remember he's the king, I mean, could it be is it just ineptitude and a bad choice? Or is it a complete take the piss, punch in the stomach to so many people that are feeling totally oppressed in our country by that ideology? Right, so these shows will always be an element of an introduction to where we are currently and the concept of tonight's show or each of the shows. And then there's 3 topics. There will always be a political segment, which is what we'll kick off with now. there'll always be a religious segment which will follow, and I say it's every single show. And again, you can't make things land. Either people will see this, the people that this lands with and are already here, that have come to this, they'll know what I mean when I say it. Is, well, for me, for example, first time I am politically active because of a religion. I'm not religious. I've got nothing against people that want to practice their own religion. That's fine. You can practice it in your own way. Not a problem. But for someone like me, for example, who doesn't claim a religion, I don't want to hear anyone preaching at me from a place of judgment, especially considering, although not religious, the country that I grew up in, heritage, is Christianity. So I'm 45, I was born in 81. My whole life, all my friends from all different cultures, we grew up, and I know, because they were my friends, still are, the principles and morals of rights and wrongs and stuff was actually part of a Christian culture heritage that I grew up in constitutionally. So my point is, if there's any religion in that country that is of that religion that deserves to be a little bit more at the forefront, it's Christianity. It's just like, I wouldn't expect to walk into an Islamic state, a Jewish state, a Hindu state, a Rastafarian state, or any other place where the religion of them people goes back and is part of the heritage of their state, their country. I wouldn't question it. I wouldn't start telling them they can't practice it and then imposing my own. Like, I just wouldn't do that. So at the minute, politics and religion are 1,000,000% convoluted. So you have to excuse me, I'm a bit of a cold at the minute. Right, let's just make sure I've got that video lined up. Hammer for Life, good to see you here. Thank you very much, mate. Please tell people about this channel. Right, people, so politically, the long road to British liberty. One of the biggest misconceptions people have about freedom is that it suddenly appears when someone decides to create it. But in Britain, freedom evolved over centuries. A key moment came in 1215 with the signing of the Magna Carta. At the time, King John faced pressure from his barons who believed the monarchy had become too powerful. The Magna Carta introduced a revolutionary idea that even the king was subject to the law. Now, it didn't come overnight, and it didn't create modern democracy overnight, but it planted a seed that would grow into something extraordinary. Over the following centuries, Britain developed institutions designed to limit power and distribute authority. Parliament gradually became more powerful. The legal system expanded through common law, where courts relied on precedent and fairness. So the legal system, and the reason I emphasize common law, is our modern legal system was actually built on something far more powerful than it, and something that will always supersede it when it comes down to it. The law of the land, common law, God's law, nature's law, natural law, what else do they call it? I can't even think in a minute. It's been a long day. But the law of the land is quite simple, right? And think about this for a minute. If there is no one that you have hurt because of your actions have caused harm or loss, so because of you, there's been no one that's been hurt and no one has lost anything of theirs, so you've not taken anything from people, then by common law, you haven't broken any laws. Victimless. So your actions cause no one any physical harm or any loss. You've not broken any law. How simple is that? How simple is that? That's common law. Now, of course, what came in, unfortunately, because of greed and money, is a legal system. The legal system and the law, they're not the same thing. There are vast differences. And I learned this myself from my own personal experience. So as it said, the legal system expanded through common law, where courts relied on precedent and fairness. It used to be a really fair system initially. And during the English Civil War in the 17th century, the country went through one of the most dramatic struggles over political power. That conflict eventually led to the Bill of Rights in 1689, which strengthened Parliament and limited the powers of the monarchy. Now, why is this relevant? Because by its foundation, what it was supposed to be doing, in this case, it was actually making sure the monarchy didn't become godlike. Basically, they wasn't above the law. They wasn't, in essence, superior to people. Obviously, wealth and titles, yes, but you can easily translate the common law, which is based, again, common law was based on Christianity. It was on the 10 Commandments and stuff like that as well. That basically this was built in to protect the people by parliamentary legislations using the law. Okay, which is, by the way, the exact opposite of what there is. There is a type of person getting protected by our governments at the minute, but it's not people who look like me, white English, or black British, brown British, white British, like British people that are British people, not necessarily Muslim. Because at the moment, there is a two-tier policing system. It's not a maybe. We're seeing it every single day. It's happening all the time. It's so in your face. I've got another, if anyone saw the video I played from Manchester with the two guys on the horses, and the Manchester police just standing by as a geezer, clearly a local Mancunian. He's got his camera and he's videoing it, and he's saying to the old Bill, they've just chased people on their horses in the middle of the street. Are you not going to arrest them? So tonight I saw the other view, and it made me even more angry, because what they actually did, they attacked a group of Iranians that were just out celebrating because of 47 years worth of that ideology, Islam, being enforced into Iran, changed their whole world in Iran. I know this. My wife, Iranian, was one of the families that got smuggled out, had to pay thousands just to get out, to get away, because my mother-in-law, didn't want her daughter getting married off, which is where we're going tonight with that subject, at an inappropriate age. Let's put it that way. Anyway, so what emerged after the Bill of Rights was something unique, a system where authority existed, but it was constantly balanced, is that word again, by accountability, a system where change could happen through law and debate rather than constant revolution. And the balance, that balance, excuse me, I need some more water, became one of Britain's greatest contributions to the modern world. Bear with me, I'm getting another fizzy water. Pissing like a racehorse tonight. I might just wet the bed, sod it, why not be lazy? Blame it on Aaliyah, my daughter. All right. Sorry, I'll have to check I'm not expecting there to be lots of people, any questions, but just in case, I'll go back every now and again. Yeah, what I'm doing on this channel, like I said, people as well, I've actually, so that I stay on topic, I've actually got points to go through. So that way it's structured. Right. So The reason I covered the points I did about British history and freedom of speech and the Magna Carta, it is not an exaggeration, it is not a stretch to say that Britain is one more stabbing, one more terrorist attack on a dance group of kids, one more innocent 14-year-old white girl on Epping High Street being sexually assaulted by someone who's been here illegally for just 7 days, and that's one of the first things that we're one more of these things away from it kicking off. People have had enough. People, imagine in our towns and cities, men on horseback riding through, attacking people, kicking people from the top of the horse, kicking people in the head. Yeah. And our police just standing there. And if anyone in the public rears up, the police act against them, hold them back. We are on the brink of it seriously kicking off. Now, the problem is, as we're already seeing, when it does kick off, when people have had enough, it's normally the victim, the person that has just got to a stage where they've got to defend themselves, that is being punished. So as a people, not only are we up against this foreign enemy, when I say foreign, Islam is foreign to this land. That is not racist or anyist. It's a fact. It's a fact. It's foreign to this land. It's a foreign enemy. It doesn't mix with our culture, our politics. It shouldn't even be involved in our politics. And we are a country that has been founded on freedom of speech. We haven't got blasphemy laws. If you don't know why that statement's relevant, again, this is what I mean. Get your head out of the sand. They've created something called Islamophobia. Our political parties will talk about all the time, accusing other political parties of being Islamophobic. They've just made up this fucking crazy, ridiculous term that everyone is jumping behind as well and throwing that around. You're Islamophobe. You're no longer racist. You're an Islamophobe. Because the thing is, there's lots of blacks, lots of browns, lots of yellows, lots of whites, lots of pinks, all different colours that have had enough of this shit. So the race card, they're having to change that now. Now it's Islamophobic. You're an Islamophobe. And our political system, not all of them, and that's the point, our current political system, Keir Starmer is shitting himself because the Green got that Muslim vote in the town, forgot the town, and so Starmer was up there sucking Islamic ball bags. Oh, it wasn't nothing to do with me, Iran. Like, it's shocking. It's shocking. Our political system has become basically what suppressed, oppressed millions, what am I talking about? Thousands, millions of Iranians over 47 years, where this ideology was brought in as the governing law, Sharia law. I saw a podcast today. It was Dan Wootton, Outspoken. He's a gay fella. White, gay, Australian, but born in England, loves England. Mum and dad were English, like just loves England. Or like his stuff is none of us are perfect. Well, of course, we're flawed, but really pushing for what the common man or woman is actually saying at the minute. And he had on his show, he had a Islamist who's a lawyer he's from Manchester, and they're basically saying he's got on this show, he's got two Islamists, one reform, I think, Christian dude, and then him. And these get thousands of views, thousands of views. These shows, right, that he does. Dan Wootton, Outspoken, and you've got an Islamist lawyer who's openly telling you that if you saw in Manchester Airport within the last year, there was two Islamic lads that beat the shit out of a woman, like battered her on camera. Absolutely, it was there. The footage was there. In fact, what happened initially, the mainstream media only showed the repercussions afterwards, where one of the Islamic lads gets a kicking by a copper. But what they didn't show at the beginning, initially, the full video, was where they battered this woman. I mean, they absolutely smashed her to pieces, right? And this geezer on this show, he's a lawyer. He's openly there defending them and saying it was their lives. They acted they felt their lives were under threat. Yeah. And he was saying how Sharia law would be better. And this is the thing, people. They are pushing this stuff. It's in our political system. That's why we have to talk about politics now, because I'm going to say this every time. There is a simple answer to this. We have a political power in place that we vote. Remember, we've got the numbers. We absolutely, definitely have the numbers. It's not a maybe. It's not, oh no, we outnumber this. There's only actually 6%. Sorry, of the UK population are Muslims. 6%. How have they managed to get so ingrained into our system? Because they've been clever. They've bought their way into a whore of a political system's pockets, back pockets. So, to wrap up the political bit, as I always do, we've got some options. Restore Britain, biggest, Rupert Lowe. Advanced UK, Ben Habib. UKIP, I always forget his name, Nick Patoni, or whatever his name is. My point, not Reform, not Nigel Fassad. No. He's already lining up the next Islamist mayor. He's already got plenty of he's been drafting in from other parties. Islamists. It's what the fuck? He's also U-turned on immigration. I'm sorry to say this, people, but the United Kingdom needs mass immigration of anyone who doesn't want to be here, of anyone that wants to attack our culture, our way of life. Sorry, Pete, I need to get, what's going on there then? Let's get rid of this. There we go. Well, hold on. Let me just see. Where are we? Sorry, I've missed a few. You know, what do you think will happen? Oh, both I've covered that. The police are traitors. Yep. I wonder where the army thing I'll tell you about in a minute. That's not good news either. What do you think will happen to solve this issue? What the Brits need to do to fight? We'll go through. Hey, bro, it will take us part to Yeah. We were just saying that. I watched it and they tried to distance Pakistanis from grooming gangs. Right. I'll get through your questions in a sec. Where was I though? Just before that. Yeah. So we got the numbers. There's three parties that, the mass immigration thing. Like, we need to stop people coming in. First and foremost, yeah. These fuckers on these boats, they need to deal with them just like the Polish. Right? The Polish have got this shit on lock. They don't give a monkeys. Polish people come first and no one else is welcome in. That's it. That is their stance on it. Yeah. If you're illegal, you're not getting into Poland. We need to start by clipping that line. None of you coming in. And then we need to look inwards at what we've got and the ones that shouldn't be here, the ones that are on terrorist lists for good fucking reasons, fuck them off. Go on out of it. Get out. Fuck off. Do one. And there's only 3 parties that are actually giving that as an option. And that is Advance, that is UKIP, and that is Restore Britain. That is how we take back the UK. Because that's how they're taking it away from us. And they've voted 6%. All we got to do is vote. That's all we got to do. Just at the minute, it makes sense for me. Like I said, since on the last show, with regards to those 3 groups, UKIP, Advance UK, Restore Britain, whichever one is leading the polls, I'm going to vote for. Simple. Because as long as one of them get in, so much changes. So much, because they are not wavering on. There's some basic stuff. We talk, funny enough, for those that don't know, I run a football channel. We talk about on that channel about basics of when you go back to basics. There's certain things at a foundational level, they just are. Well, that's the same with the situation we've got in England at the minute, in Britain. And it's bigger than that. It's out here in Spain now. The president of the prime minister of Spain, oh my God, like the stuff that's going on. So people. Been a long day. I'm going to have to wrap. So I need to get on to the next bit. Anyway, my point is, we need to fucking get these fuckers out. We need to get them out by getting someone in that he's saying, right, don't worry. The first thing we're doing is stopping that lot from coming in. And then the second thing we're doing is this lot, we're going to have a look at you. And if you don't pass the criteria, and it's not, we know it can't be an unfair criteria, because the 45 years of my life growing up, there was every single culture in Forest Gate, which is where I grew up the bulk of my life, that all got on together. We all went round each other's houses. We all ate each other's food. Like it was crushed. So we know that it can work when it's assimilation, when it's when basically there's balance. Right now is an imbalance, a massive, massive imbalance, and that is a big part of the problem. And to switch to where we're going next, I'm going to play this video. So I need to share my screen because this sizes it up perfectly. Here we go. Share. Let me add it to the stage. Listen to this woman. Oh, where's the volume? Why can't you hear her?
Islamic world, you need to understand the history of Islam.
Hold on, let me go back.
Is very different than the Islamic. In order for you to understand why Western civilization is very different than the Islamic world, you need to understand the history of Islam. When Prophet Muhammad supposedly revealed his revelation from the angel Gabriel that he is supposed to be the last of the prophets in the early 600s, he started preaching in his own city, Mecca. He tried to recruit friends and followers to be able to spread his religion. And he tried for 12 years and failed. And after 12 years, he was only able to recruit his immediate family and friends. So he decided, if I go to Medina, which was the Jewish hub of Arabia, the business hub where the Jews lived, if I go there and preach my religion to them, if they accept me, that will buy me respect and stature between my own people, and they will accept me. So Prophet Muhammad started borrowing a lot from the Old Testament to make his religion more palpable to the Jews, to make it a lot similar. This is why you see a lot of similarities between Judaism and Islam. For example, Jews don't eat pigs, Muslims don't eat pigs. Jews pray a few times a day, Muslims pray a few times a day. Jews fast on Yom Kippur, Muslims fast on Ramadan. And this is why you started seeing a lot of good writing in the beginning of the Quran when Prophet Muhammad was saying all the good things about the people of the book. He took his message and went to Medina trying to recruit the Jews. talking about the people of the book, talking about how similar the two religions are. When they refused to accept him and follow him as the last of the prophet, that's when he turned against them and started killing them and started expelling them. That's when Islam went from a spiritual movement for the first 12 years of Islam into a political movement cloaked in religion after the year of the Hijrah, after Muhammad went to Medina and the Jews did not accept him. He became a military.
I hope that lands. That is exactly what I've just said. And she's explaining the origins of this fucking nonsense and how from the off it's a guise of religion, but it's politically driven by greed. Muhammad, the Prophet Muhammad, have you heard what she said at the beginning? In his own town, where he was an untrusted market trader, he was illiterate, couldn't read or write. In his own town, no one had any time for him. In fact, he got exiled. He fucked off somewhere else. He was a chancer. He went to Medina, like saw the Jews. It had that by this time, that incident in the cave. Do you remember what happened in the cave? I can't go into it. That's on one. It's on the other episode. Go back and watch it if you ain't seen it and you're watching this. What happened to him in the cave? And it was actually his wife that said, "Oh, you're a prophet." Fucked off to Medina because everyone in Mecca told him to do one. Basically, fuck off, mate. Fuck, prophet. Can't read or write, you can't. And you're a dodgy cunt as well. You can do one. Fucks off to Medina, sees how the Jews live, sees their religion, and all of a sudden he starts designing his religion, just as this woman said, for his own gain. For his own gain. Now the reason, like, I'm thinking, what does that matter? Well, that it goes against the whole thing about any religion and prophets is that they're supposed to be like, but nothing is supposed to be for their own gain. It's supposed to be for God and the people and all the rest of it.
Warrior and declared war on them and started expelling them. Jews and Christians became dhimmi, or second-class citizens. They were only allowed to stay alive and not be killed only by paying the jizya or the protection tax. So they had a choice: convert to Islam, or if you want to stay alive, you have to pay the jizya or.
That is what they want in England. That, by the way. Because with Sharia law, if it comes in, which they're pushing for, we then become, the jizya payers. There will be a new tax that as English people, as non-Islamic people, you have to pay for just for not being Islamic. What the fuck? This ain't just what happened back then and it's changed now. This is what they want.
Protection tax, living as dhimmi in the Islamic nation. Christians and Jews could not ring church bells. Jews could not blow the shofar. Christians could not ring church bells. They could not pray publicly. Christians and Jews could not gather together and build new churches or new temples. And the way they paid the jizya or the protection tax was in a monthly ceremony where they would get together downtown and the Jew would kneel on his knee and hand his goods to the mullah, who would take the goods as the price for buying the protection. And in many areas, Jews and Christians were given necklaces to wear as a receipt that they paid their jizya or their protection tax. Jews considered najis under Islam. Najis is bodily fluid. Najis is garbage. Najis is dogs. Najis is dirty. So Christians and Jews were treated as second-class citizens. Islam continued to grow. As Islam grew, more people became dhimmi or second-class citizens. Jews and Christians were given identifiable clothing. The yellow star, which was given to the Jews that most people think is a German invention. It was actually an Islamic invention in the 9th century in Iraq by the second Khalif al-Mutawakkil of Iraq, who invented the yellow star for the Jews to be identified as they walked down the street. Because Jews were considered najis, if a Muslim man or a Jew walked on the same side of the street, the Jew had to cross the other side so the Muslim man can walk, so he's not dirtied by the filth of the Jew.
Did you hear what she just said there? A couple months back, I played a video of where in a Derby mosque, a guy is sitting there. Oh, just the arrogance of this guy. He's sitting there and he's saying, and even to mock, he says, and so he's talking to what we'd call a church. Obviously, a church is the people, not the building. So he's talking a church of people, but obviously in a mosque. So and they're just sitting there listening to every word. And he's saying, "Can you imagine soon where Dave? We will see Dave. We will be weary, and we will knock on Dave's house, and Dave and Tracy will answer, and we will insist, Dave, let me in." And I'll be coming into the house, and Tracy will see me with my big beard. This is what he's saying. I mean, looking at me and looking at Dave, so weak and submissive to me. And that night, Tracy will get into bed with me, and Dave will be like, you won't believe this stuff. Yeah. He talks about, just like she said, how they'll be walking down the street and Christians and non-Jews will Christians and Jews and anything non-Islamic would have to cross over if we're wearing garments that are above our status, our clothes, our trainers. They will be able to tell us to take them off. I want them. This is what they did back then. This is in their books back then. You're hearing it. And this is what they're preaching now in our country. I've shown you the proof. I've played them. They're not Photoshop. They're not AI. You can see. They're real. They're people that have been in there with the cameras probably thinking, what the fuck? So what she's saying about them crossing over the street to get out of the way, that's what they want now.
Christians were given the zunnar, the belt, which most of you men are wearing right now. That was an Islamic invention for the Christians. Islam continued to grow. They went all the way to Jerusalem. They conquered Jerusalem. Christians couldn't ring their church bells in Jerusalem. The Pope in Rome in 1090 told the Christians, how could you sit idly by and allow your brethren to suffer like this in the Holy Land? You need to go liberate the Christians. You need to go help the Christians. That's why the Crusaders were launched. The Crusaders were not launched because they just felt like waking up in the morning and going and converting a bunch of Muslims or beheading them. The Crusaders were launched to liberate Jerusalem. And they were able to liberate Jerusalem for less than 100 years before Salah ad-Din al-Ayyubi, Saladin, took it back, and Jerusalem remained under Islamic control until 1967, when the state of Israel liberated Jerusalem, where Christians, Jews, and Muslims could pray under the same sky. The Crusaders continued fighting Islam, and for 300 years they tried and failed. And by the 1300s, the Crusaders disappeared because they could not win against Islam. Islam continued to expand. They went all the way to Central Europe. They went all the way to China. They went to India. They conquered Spain. They changed the name of Spain from Spain to Andalusia. And they started, as they advanced, as they conquered more nations, more people paid the jizya, or the protection tax. And this is how the Islamic Empire grew. It went all the way until they was stopped at the gates of Vienna on 9/11. 9/11 is not a date that Osama bin Laden just picked out of a hat. 9/11 is a symbolic date in the Islamic calendar. Between by the 1600s, Islam had covered more of the earth's surface than the Roman Empire did at its peak. Between the 1600s and the 1800s, the Europeans were experiencing the European Industrial Revolution, where the Europeans were able to invent products on factory lines, where they are able to make money and sell products, which gave them the money to build a strong army in order to fight the Muslims. And that's how they were able to stop them at the gates of Vienna on 9/11. The Europeans started the pushback against Islam. They pushed them out of Europe. They pushed them out of all the way to the Middle East and North Africa. By 1924, The Islamic Empire ended in 1924. The Islamic Caliphate ended in Turkey by President Ataturk, who was a secularist. He ended the Islamic Empire and he gave women rights to vote. He gave women a right to an education, a right to work, a right to choose a husband. He forbid women from wearing the hijab. He forbid men from wearing the beard. The Muslims hate him so much that they consider him a Jewish agent because they believe that his mother and her bloodline was Jewish, and that was the influence on Ataturk. By the time the Islamic Empire or the Islamic Caliphate or the Islamic State ended in 1924, the Islamic Caliphate had existed for 1400 years, and it ended less than 100 years ago. By the time the Islamic Caliphate ended in 1924, 270 million people around the world were killed by Islam. 270 million. And we didn't have weapons of mass destruction, and there was nuclear weapons. All of these people were killed, butchered by the sword.
It speaks for itself, the danger, no exaggeration, the danger of this creeping in, because it's been around for years and it has always taken over. That's been, and again, it's, if you type in Dawa podcast, Dawa is spelled D-A-W-A-H, you'll hear lots of these English-born, British-born, Pakistani lads that have grown up with the likes of me and your mates, and like that are all of a sudden making it clear, because like their slogan is, while they put, when you see Muslims do this, this is like it's like an aggressive sign. They'll say it's just one God, but it's a sign within themselves as well to that basically they see, for example, Christianity and Judaism like as scum, as they class Christianity as we're corrupted, we believe in multiple gods, there's one God, it's Allah, one, that's that sign. Why did I tell you that? What was the point of saying that? There was a point on topic for why did I say that? Oh yeah, been around for all these years, and at the minute there is a new Dawa podcast phenomena within the Islamic world, where you've got these young lads, like I said, British born, that are saying, we're not here to take part, we're here to take over. That their religion, they say the religion of peace. It's the religion of war. It's the religion where they actually say, God says, if you kill people, you'll go to heaven and have all these virgins. Like, can you fucking write this shit? This is what we're up against. Right, I'm conscious of time. I want to switch on to the last bit. What I was going to talk about tonight, but I'll do it on another one, is I've got a whole presentation, if you like, that I put together with all the hadiths about their prophet, Muhammad, and his 6-year-old wife, Aisha. I've spoke about little jibs and jabs before, but a whole load on it, because this is another thing. This ideology that's taken over our streets, that's got their own people videoing us eating out in public, and they're having a go at us, in some cases even attacking us, slapping food out of people's hands and saying, because they're hungry, because they're fasting, it's disrespectful, can we not eat in public in Ramadan hours? They're actually, yeah, this shit, yeah, the aggressive thousands of young men with masks marching through Whitechapel on what was supposed to be a day for Christians to march for Christianity in an in England, where it's a constitutionally Christian country, got told no. And on the route that they was going to march, thousands of these young Islamic men, all aggressive, masked up, are marching, police not doing anything. Yeah. All of this shit that we're putting up with at the minute is based on a human being that they think, and they will tell you like it's indoctrinated into them, is the perfect human being. If you say to a Muslim, who is the perfect human, they'll say Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. Like instantly, it's drilled into them. This guy went into a cave, couldn't read or write, thought he got possessed, come out the cave. His missus told him, no, you weren't possessed, Mo. You're a prophet now. He goes into Mecca. They'll tell him, fuck off, Mo. You can't read or write. You're dodgy as fuck. Get out. He fucks off to Medina. Yeah, and then to top it off, he's a paedophile. He's a paedophile. Look at the definition of the definition of a paedophile. I don't care if it was 1,000,000 years ago, 10 years ago, or right now. It's the same thing. It's a fully grown adult looking at a child. And in Islam, the stuff that I was going to read tonight, bear in mind, talks about, even to give you a snippet, how even if you've married a pre-menstruating, pre-puberty girl, and you decide to divorce her, yeah, this pre-puberty young innocent child, you marry her, you do the dirts with her, and then you want to divorce her. They've even got in their Quran, yeah, in their holy book, they give you the guidelines and the breakdown of how long you have to wait before you can officially get rid of her, just in case she's pregnant. Pre-puberty. I've got the receipts. I'm not going to do it tonight because of the time, but I'm going to bring all this stuff because this is the thing. This ain't someone who's sitting here as a Christian. I don't claim Christianity. It's not someone sitting here who thinks I'm better than anyone else. There's nothing to do. Not someone like, I don't hate Muslims. I don't hate anyone because of their color of their skin. None. I know this to be true. It's based on logic anyway. It's such an illogical thing to suggest to not like someone because of the color of their skin. That is so. Don't even like. There's nothing. And this is the beautiful thing about the uprising at the minute. More and more people are standing up to this shit now and recognizing. There are more and more people that are talking about the fact that, hold on, this religion is a cult based on paedophilia. I've played the videos of them Somalian men in their 70s crying their eyes out because Somalian government had initially changed the law so you couldn't mess with kids anymore legally. But then within 24 to 48 hours, had to change it back again because thousands of these horrific paedophiles basically came out crying their eyes out saying how this is anti-Allah. I played one of them. You've seen it. If you ain't, go back and watch. This is episode 3. There's 2 previous episodes. You'll see it. This is what we're up against. This is evil. This is evil. So to wrap up today, the last bit. Well, 2 last bits. The role of Christianity in shaping British society. Another important part of Britain's historical development has been religion. For centuries, Britain was shaped by Christian belief and institutions. The church played a major role in education, charity, and community life. Christian teachings influenced many of the moral ideas that became embedded in British culture, such as forgiveness, compassion, responsibility for others, justice, the belief that every person has inherent dignity. These values influenced not only religion, but also law and public life. But history also teaches us something important. When religion and political power become too tightly fused, it can create tension and conflict. It is exactly what is happening at the minute. Across Europe, there were long periods where struggles between different religious groups caused enormous instability. Britain itself experienced moments of religious conflict in the past. Over time, the British system developed a way of managing this, but we've lost sight of that management. Religion remained an important part of the country's heritage, but the political system gradually evolved to allow freedom of belief and peaceful coexistence. Coexistence, people, no one taking over. That balance becomes another defining feature of modern Britain. Respect for tradition combined with space for diversity of belief. And why does balance matter so much? Because when societies lose balance, history shows that problems can arise. Problems, in fact, do arise and are arising on our streets right now. If political authority becomes too concentrated, freedoms disappear. If cultural identity becomes ignored, communities feel disconnected. If religion becomes politicized in unhealthy ways, we've discussed some unhealthy ways. Underage child sex marriages, first cousin marriages, two massive straightaway, surely, both of them being pushed for in our courts, in our parliament, in our houses of commons. There's Muslims standing there saying, we want to be able to marry our first cousins. There's other Muslims standing there saying, all men, we want to lower the age of sexual consent down to 12. What the fuck? That's unhealthy. Healthy societies require careful balance. Balance between freedom and responsibility. Balance between tradition and openness. Balance between individual rights and shared values. Britain's long historical journey has been one attempt, sometimes imperfect, to maintain that balance. So to end today's show, as always, with a little bit of my coaching practice. Balance is for those that have been coached by me, soldiers, kids, people with terminal cancer. I've been really lucky, the people I've worked with will tell you the same thing. Yeah, Jay talks about balance a lot. Specifically in the body, I talk about something called homeostasis or homeostasis, as they say in Spain, which in layman's, think about a time in your life, a moment where you just have that overwhelming realization, just in that moment, that everything's okay. In layman's, everything. It could be so many, could be in the most random of situations, but you just have those moments where you're just almost overcome with this sense of peace, sense of calm. You're not worrying about stuff of your past, not thinking about what you're going to do after, whatever it is you're doing. You are literally just present and content in that moment. Well, anatomically, your body is in a state of homeostasis. Mentally, your body is in a state of clarity, which again is balance, clear, present. Yeah. Balance is everything. So to finish the day, by bringing this back to something I talk about often in my coaching work, I want to emphasize how important it is to understand balance within yourself. Because just like our country, our nation is crying out to be rebalanced, so do we as individuals. And that's where it starts. When someone lives completely out of balance, too much stress, too much anger, too much fear, it's chaos, and your life will become chaos. When someone learns to balance their emotions, their values, their decisions, surely, actually, I'm assuming you could be a completely new listener. Maybe when you're watching this, episode 3, maybe this channel has taken off and you're still new here and you've never heard me talk, or you don't know who I am. One of the things I will always emphasize, and I've asked to be challenged on this so many times. People have tried, but it's impossible, because again, it is actually supported by science. The only thing that you get to control in your life is your feelings. You have chosen every feeling you've ever had. You will choose every feeling you've not yet had, and you're choosing any feelings you're having now. Feelings are a choice, not how life can throw different things at us, which we don't control. The thing that happened, we might not have controlled that, but how you feel, you 1,000,000% control that every single time. And when you can take account, and that's, listen, again, I'm not talking from book smart. I'm talking about this stuff from experience. That's hard to swallow when you've had certain things happen in your life, that we've all had things happen where you go, fuck man, no, like that. Everything was that person's fault because of this. You know, you think of horrible traumatic events that can happen, but it's not. The feeling element of how long you dwell on it, how long you judge yourself, or how long you hold on to it, that's on you. That's nothing to do with the other person. And your ego will want you to think that's to do with the other person. It's not. That's all on you. So you're living in a state of imbalance. You think someone else is controlling how you feel, or you put the reason of you feeling that way onto someone else. That's not how it works. When you can learn to, first of all, take accountability and ownership on that fact, you control your feelings, you become stronger in the balance of feeling choice. Because logically you think, well, actually, I don't need to choose to feel it here. Actually, do you know what? I am choosing to feel angry. I am choosing to feel stressed. I am choosing to hold on to that thing that I can't change. It happened years ago. Why am I doing that for? Like, you start realizing, you're having them conversations with yourself. Actually, I'm going to choose to feel differently about it. You feel more grounded. You feel calmer as well. And countries are very similar. A healthy country is one that understands its past, respects its traditions, and still allows space for growth and discussion. That balance is what has helped Britain navigate centuries of change, and it's something every generation has to continue protecting. Because history isn't just something that happened in the past, it's something that shapes the present, and the future depends on how well we understand it. And as I always say, to end, you are the only you that ever was, is, and will be. Only you can become the best version of you. And always remember that you are enough. So thank you for being around. Please look in to Restore Britain, Advance UK and UKIP. We can take this back. Enjoy being you. Good night, people. Good day, good afternoon.
King Charles, where are you? Your people are shouting, crying, begging for help, and yet you stand silent while this country is torn apart. What good is a crown if it doesn't defend the nation? What good is a king if he will not stand with his people? This land is not theirs to destroy. It belongs to the people, the workers, the mothers, the fathers, the veterans, the builders, the farmers. We carried this island through wars, through hardship, through centuries of struggle, and we will not watch it be handed away by weak men in suits. Your duty is not to them, Charles. It is to us, to Britain, to the very soul of this nation. If you will not rise, if you will not speak, then you will show the people that the crown has become nothing but decoration. So hear us now. Your people demand action. We demand a king who protects his country. Britain is calling, Charles. Answer, or history will remember your silence.